What's the stupidest reason you got in trouble in school? For using my asthma medication in class. I was told to keep my inhaler in the office. And to use it in there only. I was told it was distracting. Know what else is distracting? The sounds of someone gasping for air and having to be removed from class. In 1993, the Flaming Lips song, She Don't Use Jelly, came out. I was in 3rd grade and I really liked that song. And started signing it with my friends during a double-handed jump roping session. She don't use jelly or any of theesy. She uses VAAASSS's C-line. Boom. Written up. 3-day suspension for saying sexually suggestive things. I had no idea that was meant sexually. Worse even. No one would explain why that song was sexually suggestive. It was very confusing. For fighting. The school sucker punched me and I didn't retaliate. It was even caught on tape. The zero-tolerance policy is one of the stupidest things ever. Correcting a teacher's spelling of congratulations. It was a substitute. And it was English literature. Clearing my throat before reading out loud to the class. She yelled at me and threatened detention because she thought I was faking it for attention, but I don't see how. Also, more context, I was a quiet kid, so I wasn't one to create drama to begin with. It just made me not want to talk more than I already didn't want to. In middle school, some kids were stomping on caterpillars during recess. I took a Ziploc bag from my lunch and put as many caterpillars in it as I could to rescue them by taking them somewhere else. I fast-walked to get away fairly quickly without making a scene. A teacher stopped me and accused me of running and shoving. I didn't touch anyone at all. And when she saw the bag, she gave me a look of utter disgust. I got lunch detention for it. I ultimately switched out of that school because the staff had it in for me for some mental health issues and quirks that I later discovered was Asperger's syndrome. Edit. This is my most upvoted comment ever by miles. Thanks. At least something good came of that awful school. I'll give a bonus. One of the science teachers was caught with child on his computer during class. A kid called the cops. Ultimately, the district moved him to a different school. Grad school. As in, full-grown adult. One of my patients was a chill guy. We had one of those relaxed relationships. He would fist bump me after treatment was completed. The dean of academic affairs did not like that. Got a 45-minute lecture on doctor-patient relationship, and how dare I violate that trust with a fist bump. I apparently sighed loudly when a TA who knew she wasn't very popular walked in the room. I was talking to a friend the opposite side of my table. I tripped on a loose tile and bumped into a teacher, causing her to spill her coffee on herself. I apologized and showed her the tile. She went on for months about how I did it on purpose. Even got the principal and my folks involved. For the rest of the year she told me I couldn't come back to her class unless I apologized for doing it on purpose. Never went back to her class. Though I initially apologized for the incident. I never once apologized for doing it on purpose. You Ms. Helm. I got ISS for being in a food fight even though I wasn't. They said I was a part of it because I dropped some crumbs from my cupcake onto the floor. I got in trouble for cheating on one of my math exams. The teacher found a piece of paper in my pencil case. I got sent to the principal's office. When the principal asked me about what I wanted to say in my defense, I simply told him to take a look at the note. It turned out to be a shopping list. I was allowed to retake the exam the following week. In middle school, the bell to send us home didn't go off on time. We were all standing by the door waiting to leave when all the other classrooms started leaving to go home. The hallways were filled and teachers were telling people goodbye. So my classroom started to leave too. I was one of the first ones out, but apparently our teacher caught the end half of the class and made them sit down and tell them everyone who walked out the door because I dismiss you. Not the bell. So all of us who left like the rest of the school got detention. I threw a closed pen to my friend who was like 3 feet away from me. And the teacher freaked out. He made a big deal out of it in front of the whole class for a solid 5 minutes. And then emailed my parents. Luckily my mom was able to see my side of things and she said, "Doesn't that teacher have better thing to do than email me about my child throwing pens?" We still laugh about it from time to time. Spelling test in 7th grade. We wrote down the words as the teacher shouted them out. One of the words was peace. The kid next to me asks, "Which one? There's 2 different words. Peace, peace." The teacher said, The one on the list you were supposed to study. That's. I whispered. Piece as in piece of pie. She made us both rip up our tests for cheating. First, I did many things to get in trouble legitimately. I went undiagnosed with ADHD inattentive type for a long time. Because I would laser focus on school work and get done quickly. Then get bored and disrupt everyone else. The secretaries in my elementary school office knew me on sight when I went back to visit in high school. But there were a couple times that were questionable. Clapping. In 4th grade, one learned you can clap louder by having the fingers on one hand go into the palm of the other. I was part of a mini concert for our extremely talented strings students. Aw yeah. Hot cross buns, and I was kicked out and sent to the office because I clapped along with everyone else. But a teacher felt I was being disruptive, abusing my newfound power. It was decades ago, so I really can't say if I was being a jerk or not. Sneezing. I sneezed several times. And like a duck quacking. I got it from my grandfather who did the same. If those things are hereditary, I can try to hold it in. But then it looks like I'm having a seizure. Our middle school science teacher immediately tried to give me ISS when I sneezed for the first time. And it took the whole class vouching for me before she relented. After that, people would just pause for me to finish. And I'd apologize. I was sent to the principal in 6th grade for arguing with my teacher when she insisted that Hitler was a communist. The principal literally did a facepalm. But then pulled himself out together and lectured me on being more respectful. For not looking at the teacher during lesson. I wasn't fidgeting. Just sitting at my desk. Staring into space. We had a payment system in 3rd grade where you'd get dollars for good behavior, finishing homework, cleaning up after lunch, and lose them for bad behavior. At the end of each quarter we'd get to use the dollars to buy at the book fair. Every kid wanted to stock up. Now each task would get you between $1 to $2. Each day you could only get like 3 max. She charged me $20. It was literally heartbreaking and took me a full month to recover. Turns out I had focal epilepsy and was having episodes in class. Got treated like a kid for it all through high school. First one. I was waving my fingers to try to get a stuck sticky paper off of it. The principal was passing my class and saw me through the door. He thought I was throwing rocks in a class at the back of my friend's head. I got suspended for that. Second one. My math teacher when I was 14 years old had something against me. At the beginning of each class she would ask me to go into the corridor for 15 minutes. That was her idea of a punishment. She didn't even bother to find a reason. I just had to get out. Someone made a paper airplane out of scrap paper that had been binned. My name was written on the sheet they used. I got sent out the room and handed a punishment exercise. Dude sucker punched me in gym class. I never even got a chance to defend myself or fight back before the teacher stepped in. I got suspended for fighting. My friend once got in trouble for a small sigh after the teacher said we got more homework or more work to do, can't really remember. She ended up getting sent out of the classroom for it. I dropped my phone down an entire flight of stairs once. I took it out of my pocket. It slipped. I tried to catch it with my hand. But I just ended up hitting it forwards and upwards. It landed at the bottom of the stairs flat on the screen. It was completely broken except for one thing. It could still receive phone calls. So next period my classmates kept calling me on repeat and I could do nothing about it because my phone could not silence or ignore the call. Naturally. My teacher blamed me and I was sent to the principal's office who told me never to do it again and that she'd be keeping my phone the rest of the day. I seriously don't think she realized it was shattered even when she was holding it. For saying my school picture sucked. I had no idea sucked was considered a bad word until I was put in detention for it. I yawned. That earned me 30 minutes of "you never listened to the lesson properly." Failed an in-class project cause no one would let me join their group. The teacher told me to get over it and find a group. Which led to a group of popular kids tell me that I'm a loser. Fun times in school. Someone once poked a wasp nest in the school forest. And the whole swarm came out upon the school. The entire school sat detention for an hour. Understandable if you don't know who did it. But that's not the problem. We were sitting detention because the principal's son got stung. As it eventually turned out. It was actually his fault the swarm came down on us. I have cursed his name since the day I found out.